What genre do you like? What do you want to play? Let me help you save on what you've got to pay. So let's talk about free stuff, and let's go ahead and start with Epic Games. So this week on Epic Games is the game Undying, which is a zombie adventure, walk with your kid type of game, crafting stuff thing. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, a $20 game just went free on Epic Games. You got till Thursday to get it. Next up is Beyond Blue. If you ever dreamed about being a whale, if you wanted to identify as a whale, you now have the opportunity to do so through Beyond Blue. So that's what you're looking at. That'll be free on Thursday. Okay, so moving off of Epic, let's go to Prime Gaming. The first game and Prime Gaming is such an interesting pick for me this week around. First game that's free on Prime Gaming would be Ender Lilies, which is a Metroidvania brutal, I guess rogue, not really roguelike, but this game is brutal, dude. And the bosses are bullet sponges. And how do I know this is because I've actually played this game. It's not bad, but it will frustrate you. And it frustrated me till I decided I didn't want to go on. Another game that came out on Prime is going to be Blood West, which is a first-person shooter RPG style game. This is actually another game I picked up that I did not get far in because it wasn't my flavor. But if you like Western stuff and you like stuff where you're dealing with stats and growth and everything, this might not be a bad choice for you. Another game is Super Meat Boy Forever. They don't even have pictures of Super Meat Boy Forever. I guess they assume everybody knows. All right, so that's it for the free stuff. Until we get into a little later part here. Next, we're going to talk about things that are going to cost you money. But we'll go to Fanatical first with the bundles. They have the build your own Fanatical favorite bundle, which is going to be 2 games for $6 out of this list. Ziggurat 2 is just a killer game. I'm just going to plug that right now. But they've got some pretty good choices here. If you find anything you like, save yourself some money and buy it at Fanatical. If you're not into Fanatical's favorites, but you are a racer, they also have a build your own pedal to the metal bundle. So this is going to be a 3 for $6. So if you see any racing games here that you might want to give a test drive. Now, what I do want to talk about, just take a few minutes here to talk about, is the wonderful world of finding free games on, there it is, Steam. Now, they do have free games. It's kind of fun to find it because that's where the hunt begins. There's a couple places where you can find it. One is you got to go to browse by genre on this very small part, and there's a free to play there. You could end up seeing, a browse by category because there's a free category. It doesn't always show up. Or you could go down and then there's usually this browse Steam and then there's a free games there. Now, the thing about free games with Steam, let's go ahead and take a look at it and why I do not like it. So with the free games, it'll break it down into, whatever category you want. So let's just take RPG. And when you click on that, you're going to be given the popular titles first. They're going to push these ones on you, which are usually going to be like maybe the pay to play. It's free to install, but if you actually want to even do anything in it, get ready to start coughing up some money. Then you get to the list of all the free stuff. And this is where the fun begins because this is all you get. And then you have to go show more and then keep going and show more and so forth. Now you can't highlight them to see a video of it, but it's still, there's quite a bit and everything's kind of bundled together here. So yeah, that's why I'm not too fond of Steam, trying to hunch in Steam for free stuff. At that point, I'd rather just pay some money and make my life easier. However, what I do want to go through is a series of free games that I recommend you may want to look into. And I'm going to try to go through these as fast as possible, but there is some darn good things in here. Yume Nikki. Yume Nikki is a very old indie game. It's one of the first indie games that made a big deal out of it, out of indie games. You can get it free online if you want to, but you can actually pick it up free on now. Something to keep in mind with Yume Nikki, besides the fact that it's a very old game, is that there are two versions of it on Steam. One is a remake version that is a you have to purchase type of game. If you want the free one, just keep an eye out for the one that basically doesn't say we're going to charge your credit card. So Yume Nikki is kind of an actually fun, relaxing, wander around, look at crazy stuff, but there is a game to it. However, you'll probably never beat it without a guide type of game. If you're into that, and you're into the Lisa series, there's also for free Lisa the First, which is actually a Yume Nikki style game. It plays exactly like Yume Nikki. So if you like Lisa, you end up liking Yume Nikki, you might want to pick up Lisa the First also for free. If you're an RPGer and you're old school and you remember when the Atari crash that we talked about last time happened, you may want to look towards this RPG, which is called Moonring, which is done actually by, I believe it's the person that did Fable. And this is done in a very old school PC style RPG type of game. So if you're more modern, you may want to skip this, but if you remember those days, you may want to pick it up. Now, if you're more modern, you can also pick up Phantasy Star Online 2 for free. Now, there is some pay stuff in this, but you could squeeze out a good amount of hours without having to worry about that. So that's your RPGs. Now, if you're into platformers and the precise platformers like Celeste and so forth, you have for free, you have to win this game, which I have won this game. And it's a very old school style looking game. Can knock it off in about an hour, but it's still a good one. But if an hour is too long for you, then how about you have 10 seconds? And if you have 10 seconds, good news, you can also get for free, you have 10 seconds too. And if you have 10 seconds too, then you can also get for free, you have 10 seconds 2023. This is a 4 series game. The only one that's going to cost you money is you have 10 seconds 3, which is like $3. But really what you get here with all of 3 of these, you have 10 seconds is like, I don't know, 500 levels or something. So you got plenty of game time to knock out on free stuff. Another precision platformer type of game that actually has an interesting aspect to it is Kali, which is not only as a jumping platformer, but it's also made a point that's a tethering. So you're kind of swinging from place to place while you're playing. You'll probably see examples of that in the video while I'm talking here. It is an early access. It's interesting because I believe this one actually cost money originally. And then they just kind of said, I don't know if it wasn't getting enough hits, but they said, screw it, it's free, from what I understand. But it's free now. So as far as I know, it's free now. I hope it is still free. It looks like it is. Go get it. If you like a little action in your platformer, I would recommend looking into a game called Janos. And if you end up liking the game Janos, you can also pick up Janos 2 Prologue, which is a prologue, obviously a second game, which actually turns out to be a pretty much a full game as is. I believe it has 10 areas in it, as well as Janos is a full game as well. However, what I'm going to say is you may not want to pick them up on Steam because Janos is free on GOG. You can buy Janos 2 on GOG. I recommend getting it there because for some reason people have problems with their controllers, and I'm one of them. However, Prologue is not on GOG, so you have to get it on Steam. We mentioned Cave Story. Cave Story has side story, which is also free, which is Cave Story Secret Santa, which is actually kind of like a stealth game. It's very different than Cave Story. It's a pretty quick game. It's also free. If you like Cave Story, go ahead and pick that one up as well. Now, if you're like, these aren't my style, I like to shoot things, and you don't mind your shooters being old, what's free is now Classic Marathon. You can get Marathon for free on Steam. Well, you can relive it now, it's free. And the good news is you're going to say, wait a second, Marathon had a 3-part to it. Well, what else also is free is Classic Marathon 2 is free. You can get that on Steam. If that's not enough, Classic Marathon Infinity, the 3rd game in the series, is also free. So all 3 of the games are free on Steam. You want a first-person shooter, go get it. If you're anti-Mac and you still want a first-person shooter, another classic game, Shadow Warrior Classic is also free on Steam. And that you're looking back into the Quake days. If shooting isn't I guess if shooting is your bag, but you like to drive as well as shoot, another free game you could look for is Flash Out 3D, which is your anti-gravity racer Wipeout style ripoff game, but it's still a pretty good game. The other games in the series will cost you money. Pick this one up first. Don't pick up the second one, even if that one goes free. This one's not a bad choice. If you like third-person shooter games and you don't mind playing a gacha game that you can put a lot of time in without having to worry about paying money, I highly recommend Snowbreak. It's a darn good third-person shooter as far as I've experienced with it. I put probably about 20 hours into this one. The missions are over pretty quick, and I had a pretty darn good time with it. The co-op is unlocked when you get to, I believe it's like mission 3, 4, or something like that. If you don't want to deal with a gacha aspect, but you still want a third person, then look towards Deathly Stillness, which is actually interesting because this is like the green jelly of, or maybe I say green jello of video games, where the developer actually says this is a boring zombie game with no plot, not an official release game. Please don't have high expectations. Yet all reviews are overwhelmingly positive for this game because it's actually pretty good. It isn't a very long game. The first-person shooter, which actually, if you're watching your screen right now, which is what you're seeing, I didn't like that level, but the other 4 levels were actually really good. So you may want to look into this one. And finally, going back to RPGs, because I raked over the coals way back when we talked about free games on GOG, I want to plug this game, whatever it's called, Drekka Gust of Dragon. This is the one that on GOG people are knocking, saying you can't heal yourself without the game crashing. So I got curious. Now, keep in mind, this is also an early access. Yeah, it is still free at least. I got curious and tried it. And the good news is you can heal your characters. It's a very old style 16-bit type of RPG. You want to go back and experience those 16-bit days, this is where you want to go. Give it a go. And with that, we have now covered everything. So if you want to do Steam stuff, good luck.